Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shot Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. Now, if you like this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. Put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, the games I love in college hoops and other sports, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday in college basketball. First up, an early morning neutral site game in the Bahamas between Marquette and Georgia, 11 a.m. Eastern for this one. And Marquette is off a big win against Purdue, 76-58 the final score. So an 18-point victory that was really wire to wire. The Golden Eagles were in front by a good margin for basically the entire way. And now with those wins against Maryland and Purdue, we could expect Marquette to jump a little bit in the AP polls next week. That is, of course, if they can hold on to a win in this matchup, which I'm not so sure. I mean, Georgia has really improved this year, in my opinion. Mike White may not be my favorite coach in college basketball, but got to say he has really put together a strong roster this season. The Bulldogs are off to a great start. Now, they haven't played anywhere near as tough a schedule as Marquette has to start the year, just that one true road game. But it was a road game against an ACC foe and a rival in Georgia Tech, and it was a big win for Georgia, 77-69 in that one, winning and covering the spread. And, Georgia just has a lot to like with its team right now. The backcourt's got some experience. The front court, while young, still really, really talented with a guy like Newell. And the big advantage that Georgia has in this game is on the glass. Marquette's definitely improved their rebounding numbers so far this season, but still, a mediocre team on the glass overall. Georgia's number 5 in the country in offensive rebounding right now, top 25 in defensive rebounding. So they should be able to win the glass, and if they're able to make some tough shots, I think they'll be very competitive and stick around in this game for 40 minutes plus, maybe even an overtime game in this one. I think it's going to be really close. I think either team has a chance to win it, so I'm going to take the points here with Georgia. Next up, we see St. Francis and Georgetown. This one's going to be 12 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 2. I do think Georgetown has really improved this year, and while they didn't cover in their first 3 games of the season, I still like what I saw from the Hoyas. They bounced back in terms of covering the spread in that next game against Mount St. Mary's with a 28-point victory. They were really strong on both sides of the ball, and it really wasn't even their best shooting performance. They only shot 30% from 3, and they still scored just under 80 points, covered the spread with ease. And for me, St. Francis is ranked 339th in KenPom, one of the weakest offensive teams in college basketball. Not a good fundamental team. They turn the ball over a lot. They're not great rebounding-wise on either side of the ball. They are struggling to get to the free throw line. This team does have some issues. And for me, when you look at Georgetown and you look at the other teams in the Big East, I think that most teams in the Big East Conference would be a close to 30-point favorite in this type of matchup. But because it's Georgetown, because they've struggled in recent years, because they're 1-3 against the spread, they're pretty mild favorite in my opinion. I think we're getting a really good price with the much better team here. And I think Georgetown's going to be a team to pull off some upsets in the Big East when we get to conference play. I'm going to take the value while I got it right now with the Hoyas. I'm going to lay the points. Next up, we see Maryland Eastern Shore and Illinois. This one's going to be 4 p.m. Eastern on Big Ten Plus. Now, Illinois lost in its last game to Alabama, 100-87. That was a game we took Alabama, laid the points, and mentioned that Illinois is an extremely talented team in terms of the recruiting class, one of the best in college basketball. But because of that inexperience, ranked 310th in D1 experience overall, don't really love them in these early season true road game or neutral site games. And honestly, when we get close to the conference tournament and NCAA tournament, we're going to have to see, teams like Kentucky from last year, for an example, scored a ton of points per game, made a ton of threes, had a ton of NBA caliber talent on the roster. But that lack of college experience in that first season for a lot of those players ended up with a one and done in the NCAA tournament. So I don't love them in these step-up games, at least early on. But in the matchup like this against an inferior opponent at home, coming off a loss, I think it's a great spot for Illinois. And I actually think the line's a little bit too light in my opinion, and we're getting a decent price because of that outright loss for the Illini in that last game. Now, Maryland Eastern Shore's done well against the spread to start the season, but it's really been because they've made a lot of their low percentage shots at a decent rate. They're 120th in the country in three-point shooting. They're doing a good job of taking care of the basketball, but they're still ranked 345th in adjusted offensive efficiency. They're one of the worst rebounding teams in college basketball, and they're also one of the bottom 5 defenses in college basketball overall. I think Illinois could score 100 points in this game, and I think they will be able to cover the number in the end as well. So give me the Illini in this one. I'm going to lay the boatload of points. Next up, it's Cal Poly and St. Mary's. This one, 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. Cal Poly's done well for us recently. They covered again in that last game against Arizona State, only losing by 4 points. But while they've been a great dog this season against the number, and they've had a couple of nice outright victories, for me, this is not their best matchup against a defensive juggernaut like St. Mary's. Now, St. Mary's so far this season, in terms of adjusted defensive efficiency, nowhere near where this team expects to be. It's right now 89th in the country. But I do think a Randy Bennett team is going to improve there as the season goes along, and the offense is exactly where it needs to be. 16th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency. Great offensive rebounding team. They have a big advantage on the glass in this game. They take care of the basketball. They're a solid shooting team, and I do think that defense improves as the season goes along. For me, this is a tough spot. It's kind of a letdown spot after losing that close game where Cal Poly actually took the lead in the final minutes of that game at Arizona State. So I think we'll be on Cal Poly plenty of times, during this season in a few spots where we're getting a good price. But in this one, just a bad matchup and not getting enough points. So give me St. Mary's. I'm going to lay the points. Next up, we see Mississippi Valley State and BYU. This one, 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. You've got to give credit to the Delta Devils for covering against Kansas State. Really a game that was really close at halftime. It was competitive. Ended up being a 74-56 loss, but still a cover for the Delta Devils. But we also can't forget the two previous games against Texas and Missouri, which ended up being 89-43, a 45-point loss or 46-point loss, and 111-39 to Missouri in the previous one. I think we see something in between those in this game against BYU. I think BYU, has already shown that they're not afraid to pull off a blowout win. We saw against Central Arkansas, 88-50, against Queens, 99-55, and I think both of those teams are a lot better than Mississippi Valley State. Also, when you look at that game against Queens, it was a 99-55 final score, despite Queens actually having a really good day from the perimeter, 11 of 30 for 37% against a team like BYU. You take that all day long, you still lost by 44 points. It goes to show you BYU is locked and loaded this season. They have a fundamental advantage at every position in this game and every facet of the game as well. They should get a lot of second chance looks on their missed shots, but I don't expect them to miss too many shots, as they should get a lot of open looks in this game. The defense should be more than fine, and I think BYU wins this game and still covers the number, even though it is a large spread. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in college hoops. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and put those college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.